Hi everyone and welcome back to Quick Trip, a show dedicated to talking about more than just travel. I'm your host Amber White and I'm really hoping you joined us on Monday's show because we started off with a bang when we took a quick trip down to Cancun, Mexico. We told you a little bit about the area, what you can expect. We also hit those bucket list items which you just have to do when holidaying in the area. But today we're going to take you off the beaten track and help you discover things that you may not know, but things you really ought to. I'm really excited for this one, so stay tuned. So today on Quick Trips, we're talking about how to get off the beaten track and discover the real Mexico when it comes to Cancun and its surrounding areas. So thrill seekers and adrenaline junkies, I want to hear from you first. What do you do to find those sought after off the beaten track activities?
Great question, Amber. I personally love to get off the beaten track. I love to discover new destinations, how the locals do, what they eat, what they do for fun, all that kind of stuff. So if we're talking about Cancun, I would really love to get down to Tulum. I hear it's a lot less touristy, more likely to run into a local that's going to be very helpful and show you what they do. I'd like to go maybe out deep sea fishing, where their local fishing spots are. Perhaps I've also heard that there's some ruins on the side of a cliff. So I'd like to check that out and see it from their perspective.
Do people agree that the key to discovering the real Mexico is actually by getting out of Cancun? And if so, where would you go and why?
Amber, I definitely think discovering the real Mexico means going outside of Cancun. In recent years, Tulum has been super popular, but I think that even now, Tulum is becoming a little more touristy and less authentic Mexico. So we actually take people to Isla Holbox, Mexico, which is this really cute little island off the coast of the Yucatan. And it's definitely a great way to experience more rustic, less touristy Mexico.
As I've said before, I've recently got back from Cancun and Holbox. So to me, I got to really discover this beach, secluded holiday in Mexico. But next time, I think I'd want to get off the touristy coastline and go inland. Who's with me?
Amber, that sounds absolutely amazing. I would love to be with you on that. To me, I like a bit of seclusion. That's kind of my personality. So for me, I'd love to grab a guide, grab my runners, and go hit the jungle that I've learned a little bit about on the internet that's there at the moment off the coastline. Um, Added to that, apparently there is the Mayan ruins of Coba, which are the last remaining pyramids, I think it is, that you can climb in the Yucatan. So I would really love the opportunity to do that, put it on my bucket list, and definitely have that as my off the beaten track moment.
Has anyone got any advice when it comes to maybe trying a food that's out of the norm in Mexico? Something that maybe we haven't thought of, but that we really should try. Let me know.
Hi, Amber. I have heard you have to be a little bit careful of the food in Mexico. A friend of mine recently returned and said that the best experience they had whilst in Mexico was to get amongst the locals and enjoy some of their fresh catch. So, a whole fish cooked authentic Mexican style around a table with a bunch of locals was the best experience they'd had, and also some of the best tasting fresh food. So, that would be my best bet if I was going there. Find some locals and get them to cook me an authentic Mexican meal.
Okay, so we've gone back to basics, we've hit those bucket list items, and we've also been off the beaten track. So, what's those final last minute tips and tricks that travelers should know before heading to Cancun and its surrounding areas?
There are a bunch of tricks that people should know before they go there. Definitely bring bug spray. The mosquitoes there can potentially carry Zika, so you want to make sure that you have some heavy duty bug spray. They also have sand flies and no-see-ums that bite as well. Another piece of advice would be to make copies of your passport, just because you never know, and if you need to get back, having a copy will help you do that. It's also good to make sure that your passport is valid for at least 6 months from the time you return.
So, for those of us who have traveled a lot, where do you sit on travel insurance? I know I've had to make a claim before, but I know others think it's a waste of money. So, where do you sit on this? Do you think it's a necessity or a waste of time?
Amber, I think travel insurance is a must personally, especially for someone that likes to do all the adventurous activities and things like that. It just covers you in case of an accident. You never know what the medical conditions can be in another country, so it's always really, really good to be covered. Also helps out with luggage and flight cancellations, anything like that can really, really get you out of a really sticky situation. So for me, it's a must. But I guess for everyone, you depends where you're going and just assess the situation at the time.
We've spoken about getting off the beaten track when it comes to food, and this is one of my all-time favorite things to do. But let's talk about how can we decipher what's fresh and maybe what's something to avoid. Who's got any tips on how to kind of decipher what's good and what's not?
Hey, Amber, I think that's actually really, really quite interesting because have you ever heard of Mexico belly? As far as I'm aware, for us Aussies, it's pretty much the same thing as Bali belly. So, in the instance when traveling to those sorts of places, my two biggest concerns is water and fresh fruits and salads and vegetables. Most people would be thinking about meat, but in actual fact, it's the fresh salads and vegetables that are washed in the water. So, they're definitely the two things that I would be considering very important to be aware of. Buy bottled water and just be sure and safe of where you feel like where you're eating your food from and where you think it's coming from. So
Okay, so over the course of the last two episodes, we've somehow managed to convince people that they need to go to Cancun. So, what's your best advice on the first thing to pack?
So, Amber, besides the essential bikini and swimwear, obviously for the beautiful waters of Cancun, I would suggest that anyone who goes to Mexico would be wise enough to take a book. So, you never know when you're going to find yourself getting delayed at an airport. Due to the tropical weather that comes along with this beautiful location, there's such a high chance of rain. You may find yourself inside your hotel room or in a position where you can't be outside for any reason. So, take a book, enjoy, relax, and catch up on some reading.
Has anyone got any last minute tips, trips, or advice when it comes to Cancun, Mexico, or maybe even its surrounding areas that we spoke about, like Tulum or Holbox?
Holbox is actually really cool. It's super small island, not exactly easy to get to, but it's manageable. You take an hour and a half car ride and a ferry, and you're on the island. There are no cars, only golf carts and bicycles, and there's a few motorbikes run by the locals, and it's absolutely beautiful. The streets are basically sand. The water table is low, so if it rains, it floods, but people walk around, and it's easy to get around because it's small enough. Um, and there's plenty of things to do in the island. There's bioluminescence tours, there's fishing tours, all sorts of things. It's a lot of fun. Totally recommend it.
Okay, so it's come to my favorite part of the show. I want to hear from you your biggest oh no moments when it comes to Cancun, Mexico, or maybe even anywhere in Mexico. Let me know that horror travel story, or maybe even a funny story that you just want to share with us.
So Amber, my oh no this week is Mexico City. I went out for dinner with a group of friends. had a few drinks, and afterwards decided that I wanted to walk home by myself and have a look around on the way. Uh, Halfway through the journey, I realised my phone had gone flat, so Google Maps was no good to me, and I didn't speak the language, so it was very hard to ask for directions. I ended up getting lost in Mexico City for about a good couple of hours, to the point where I actually started to get scared because Mexico City isn't the safest of cities. But luckily, I managed to find my way and get back home. But yeah, don't let your phone go flat or have a map with you. What about you, Emma? Do you have any oh no moments you could tell us about?
Well, Carl, as you can see, I'm not in Cancun anymore, but this story isn't about me anyway. It's actually about a guy I met on the plane on my way back from Cancun. He and his friends had just been in Tulum for a wedding, and they were staying in local accommodation. And if you've ever been there, you'll see that a lot of it is made out of local natural material like bamboo, and it's all thatched roofing. Another thing they like to do within these places is actually use candles. Looks beautiful, but unfortunately, it caused a massive fire, and they were all there for a wedding and had to be evacuated and go to another hotel. So, complete oh no moment for these guys. They definitely learned the hard way that although beautiful, sometimes not overly practical. So, I mean, be careful where you stay and definitely be careful of lighting candles. Hey guys, that's the end of another episode, and our quick trip to Cancun, Mexico, sadly officially coming to an end. But I hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you join us on Monday for a very special holiday episode before we take a big bite out of the Big Apple on Thursday. We're going to be talking more than just travel when it comes to New York City. But until then, I'm your host, Amber Wyatt, and I hope you have a very safe and happy holiday.